Right. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hello, folks. Back again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Back
yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Woo.
It's our third review ever.
Yeah.
This time around, okay, I guess yeah, our
Yeah.
our little
Usual,
intro.
usual breakdown.
Okay, so look, just a couple of movie
Wait, let's do
fans.
names first this time.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
Izzy,
I'm Riyaal.
and yeah, man. Listen, it's pretty, basic and simple. Just a couple of movie fans here to chat
Yeah.
about some of our favorite movies that
Yeah.
we've seen.
So, just opinions. No, we're not super fans, diehard comic book followers. Just
Yeah.
our opinions, what we like, what
No
we dislike.
affiliation to Rotten Tomatoes, Roger Ebert and the likes, 100% amateurs. And then, yeah, man, if you agree, you agree. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
it's
we do.
perfectly
Yeah.
fine.
So,
Yeah.
you mentioned we're doing Batman.
This time around, we're tackling the
The
Batman.
Batman. So that's the
Um,
most recent iteration with Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves and Zoe
yes.
Kravitz.
Yes. Playing
Just
Catwoman.
yeah,
Yeah.
all right,
So, first things first, overall rating of the movie.
yeah. So I'm gonna I enjoyed it. It
Yeah.
blew me out of the park. 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
9 out of 10.
Yeah.
100%.
Nah, I'm with you. I give it a solid 9. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, undisputed. Like, oh my goodness. And
Yeah.
don't worry, we're definitely gonna get into the whys of it all. Like, yeah. By
Yeah.
the end of this, you're gonna understand why
Definitely.
we believe it's a 9. And I'm sure by the end of the movie, after you've watched it, you have to feel the same. Like,
Yeah.
and if not, there's certain. Like I said before, not everyone's gonna agree with what we have to
Yeah.
say.
And I understand that it's a character that's been done so many times.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
has their favorite one.
Yeah. And
I
even the interpretation,
Yeah.
people might have a preference and all. But I feel like the further away someone's opinion is from ours, the more I would want to speak to them and just
Yeah.
understand what's going on. But okay, so given that we give the movie a 9 out of 10, tell me your view on the story.
Yeah, initial thoughts. I liked it because let's see, so many things to like. So
Yeah, yeah,
where do you begin?
Yeah. So
I
again, just
liked,
that
yeah. So
story start
I
to.
was the story start to finish.
Mm.
Not Spider Man. Batman.
Yeah.
I liked Batman's story.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he's still really early in him being the Batman.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight. He's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
vengeance, not the Dark Knight. I like that. I liked where he's coming from the point that, and I liked the fact that we have a young Batman. I know I said it, but
Yeah.
my understanding is late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
So he's still young. He's still immature. He's still learning, and he's still got that gripe for his parents,
Mm.
and how that played out throughout the whole movie. Just all the twists and turns it went on his journey and just his character growth
Yeah.
in terms of dealing with those twists and turns and opening up to people. I really enjoyed that. And then also the setting. What I liked was it's Gotham City,
Yeah.
but the way I saw Gotham City was based in reality because I compared it to New York City because they had like the New York Times Square vibe at Gotham, and they
Yeah,
had
yeah.
Gotham Square Garden, which is Madison Square Garden, which is found in New York City.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was more based in reality, which is
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
enjoyed.
Yes.
And also the supporting cast, like
Oof.
all of them killed it. I mean,
Oof.
Zoe Kravitz is Catwoman.
Yes.
Colin Farrell is Penguin.
Dude.
I forgot about that. I
Dude.
couldn't even tell. And even when I rewatched it, I had to look, and there was like
Dude.
maybe a stare here and there where it showed me who he is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and obviously me, I forget the guy's real name, but Carmine Falcone.
Oh, John Turturro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
John
yeah.
Turturro, yeah. He's always been good. Like
Yes.
don't mess with the Zohan
Yes.
Transformers.
Yes.
Yeah, and any other movie that I've seen him in, he's probably killed it.
Yeah. He was in Transformers as
Yeah.
well. That Coen Brothers movie, the
Big Lebowski.
the Big
There you go,
Lebowski. Yeah. Every time he pops up, man,
Yeah.
like I can't remember the first time I saw him. Was he in Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
And he has range, man.
Yeah,
Range,
wide range
comedy
of characters
to
that he's able to play. Yeah.
Carmine Falcone, big.
Like I said, I can't remember where I first saw him. The City of Pelham 1, 2, 3. If
Oh,
you've watched,
no,
yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet. No.
But the thing is, I got to a point early on with him where anytime I see him, I'm smiling. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, there's our
He's,
guy.
he's like an unsung hero of Hollywood,
Yes,
you
and
know.
he always delivers. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I like the fact that the Batcave wasn't really a cave; it was an underground tunnel. Like those small things here and there that are like always grandiose with Batman wasn't so much
Yeah.
here in this movie,
Yes.
which I felt gave it a nice, more relatable feel, and it gave it a little bit of grittiness.
Yes.
And what I was also wanted to mention was the music. The music throughout just complemented the scenes, gave you the tone, especially when you play Nirvana as like one of your first songs in a movie. And you know, if you've listened to Nirvana, you know it's all grungy, emo type. You
Yeah.
know,
And he had that
yeah.
emo look,
Yeah.
so yeah.
So I think the music choice as well was just
Okay.
on point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nah, man, I definitely enjoyed it a lot, a lot. Like before this, I only saw one person. So before I watch a movie, man, I try and duck and dive.
Yeah.
Obviously avoiding spoilers.
Trailers and
I don't
whatnot.
watch trailers. If I'm in a movie theater, man,
Yeah. Then
you'd be surprised the sort of things I've done to avoid trailers. Like I've closed my eyes in a. So I always used to have this thing, right? It's very funny. Generally speaking, I'm a punctual person and I like to keep on time. Like it's a
Yeah.
very big thing for me. With cinemas, for whatever reason, I'm almost always late. But I'll never be mad because I'll always be like, at least I missed the trailers. At least I missed. Plus, I always know that when they give you a start time,
It's
you have
usually
about
10,
15
10,
minutes.
15 minutes,
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't mind being late. It's only when the movie has started where I'll be, a little tight. But if I am on time, which has been happening a lot over the last year or so, man, I'll be closing my eyes and I'll try and like sing songs in my head to distract myself from trailers. And the point being, I try and avoid as many things as I can before I watch the actual movie. And I'm happy to say this time around it actually worked out fairly well. I feel like the only thing I knew was Robert Pattinson is Batman,
Yeah.
Matt Reeves was directing, Zoe Kravitz is
Yeah.
Catwoman,
Just basically the cast.
Colin Farrell
Yeah.
is the Penguin. But even that, the Riddler and
Yeah.
that kid,
Paul Dano.
I don't know if you know him. I've seen him
I've
in
seen him
Night and
before.
Day with Tom Cruise and
Oh.
Cameron Diaz. And I've seen him maybe in 2 or 3 other movies max.
Yeah.
He was always that little weird kid, and
Yes, yes,
like not a guy that you thought could bring the sort of range he
That-
did.
That weird kid played so well into the Riddler's character.
Exactly, and we're definitely gonna delve a little deeper into
Oh,
that,
the
right?
Riddler,
So yeah, to long story cut short, I got into this movie not knowing a damn thing, except one of my friends whose opinions I trust, having said that, it's a great movie. And I was like, okay, at least he delivered. And I went in there and I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, what is going on? Like, first you see the runtime like 3 hours.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're comic book
Yeah.
fans,
So
dog. Like,
we've been
we're trained for
watching-
this, But I was like,
And I mean, we're Nolan fans as well. So
yes, he's no stranger to the
Nolan,
longer movies.
Tarantino, yeah.
And they made sure that every minute of it was worth it, like from start up until
And
the
it was
finish.
so well balanced, good action, good
Yes.
thinking, like
The
thriller
emotions,
types.
all the different
Yeah.
tones, like they were on point. And here's my summary of this movie. It's the exact sort of Batman movie we deserve to have, and the only acceptable kind of Batman movie we should have in a post Nolan world.
Yeah.
Because don't get it twisted, I love the casting of Ben Affleck as Batman.
Yeah, Batman in the DC.
He reminded me of that, all the Batman,
Yeah.
the big build, the
Well, I mean, he looks
bigger
it.
jaw, and like literally again from the comic adaptation, from the animation
Yeah.
series, he was that Batman for me, and so I immediately bought into it. The execution was flawed, and I feel like had he gotten that chance to make his own movie as he wanted to, he wrote, dude. When Matt Reeves was brought in by Warner Brothers, he was given Ben Affleck's script.
Oh.
He was brought in to
So he
direct
worked
that
off- oh.
movie. But yeah, the visions didn't align, and then the movie got scrapped. But they liked Matt Reeves enough that they gave him his own
Okay.
movie. So that's how he even came into the picture. I feel like Ben Affleck, that scene, and I don't know if it's like a warehouse or what, from Batman vs Superman when he was beating down on all the villains, that alone convinced me that Ben Affleck is going to make a great Batman. Unfortunately,
Yeah, things happen.
and that's the thing with Snyder. Granted, especially after he did the new Justice League or the
Yeah.
Snyder version, whatnot, I kind of felt bad that the Snyder verse was coming to an end. But after watching this, I was like, nah, it had to.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with Zack Snyder. He likes to do grandiose
Over the
things.
top. Yeah.
Yes, everything about him is massive. It's out there. And think about two simple movies: the Justice League stuff that he did,
Man
and
of Steel is there as well.
300.
Oh,
Those are like prime examples of how over the top he likes to go. And in some cases, it works. Like 300, we all enjoyed like the kick, this is Sparta, whatever, whatever. But when you look at how well grounded this Batman movie was, you're like, yeah, no, Snyder, this just wasn't for you. And as I said, in a post Nolan world, because Christopher Nolan grounded Batman, and what he did with that changed the tone of
Yeah.
comic book movies across the
Across the
board,
board,
you know. Aside from the MCU stuff, everyone else follows that tone. Because now, yes, our heroes were grounded before, but not to this extent.
Yeah.
I have this friend of mine who put it so beautifully. He said Christopher Nolan didn't make a superhero movie; he made a crime film,
Yeah.
and they follow
we
that
chatted about
blueprint
it,
and they executed it to the best. What I liked is that they picked and chose the elements that they were gonna adapt into this current
Yes.
movie. It didn't feel like a remake. It didn't feel like a copycat. It
Not
felt
at
like
all.
its own thing.
Baby, yeah.
And yeah, that is, oh my god, that is just insane for me. Let's get a little into the casting. Initial
the-
thoughts when they said Robert Pattinson was Batman.
I was like, dude from Twilight. Really? Okay, so I mean, I've only seen him on stuff that's been portrayed in media, main stuff. So like
Yeah,
Harry
yeah,
Potter,
yeah.
Twilight, maybe one or two other. Then I saw him in Tenet.
Yes.
And I know he's got acting chops in other movies where he showed his range and
Yeah.
stuff. But I saw him in Tenet, and I'm like, I don't know. We chatted about this, and I'm like, yo, this I can actually see him as a Batman.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
Tenet, action movie, and he didn't seem out of place.
Yeah.
He was playing his part well, and yeah, it just made sense to me at that stage, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I can see it. I'll let it slide.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I watched the movie, and then blew me out of the park. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I think in an ideal world, and hopefully in this case, this is the ideal world. Twilight and Robert Pattinson should never ever be put in the same sentence
yeah.
ever again, because I feel like, and the funny thing is, as you were saying, I've never really seen any of his other
Yeah.
movies. I think
I've heard of it. I've heard of like Warhorse and
I was like pushed into watching
stuff.
Twilight, and this is like years after
Yeah.
the hype, and because I was like, no ways I'm watching that. Now my friend was like, no man, check it out, check it out. I was like,
that's the whole thing with Twilight. Like even Kristen Stewart, she's a good actress. She's
Yeah,
nominated
yeah,
for Oscars and stuff. And then you get Twilight where they both like,
it was definitely one of
Yeah.
those you take whatever you can at
Yeah.
that early stage. So I watched the movie. I was like, I don't get why everyone's obsessed with Twilight, and then I never paid him any mind after that. But the media always kept that
Yeah.
Twilight thing going, and the social media jokes and whatever. So they said he's Batman, and I'm like, guys,
Yeah.
what are you doing? From
didn't
Ben
see it.
Affleck to him, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then I watched Tenet, same as you. When I watched him in it, I actually enjoyed him more than John David Washington in that
Yeah.
movie.
I guess it's also very confusing. John David Washington's role.
The thing is,
Tenet.
even beyond just the plot and all these other things, just the acting alone in there, like, I just wasn't convinced by John David Washington. But Robert Pattinson, which is ironic because he wasn't in there for long, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's a long movie, but he featured there, just a little bit.
He's not the hero of this story.
But I was like, oh man, this guy can act. Like, he really sold me. And then I was like, okay, now I'm willing to give him a chance for Batman. And I watched the movie, and I'm like,
Yeah.
there's a thing about directors, dude, that I don't think gets enough respect. They see things that no one can. And when you say someone is a visionary, that's exactly what you're talking about. Just a quick history of what other directors have done. Michael Keaton to this day is still regarded as arguably the best
Yeah.
Batman of all time, and some people are gonna die with that belief no matter what. And I mean, well
Yeah,
deserved.
that's it. It's Michael Keaton. He's a goat, man.
Tim Burton, when he cast him in the movie, people were like, "You cast the guy from Beetlejuice?" Because never mind Beetlejuice, he was just a pure comedy
Yeah.
actor. You know, he was
You talk
ridiculed like you
yeah.
would not believe, and then he knocked it out of the park. Heath Ledger, you know, romantic, heartthrob
Yeah.
sort of guy. Christopher Nolan met up with him a couple of times. They would have like 3 hour
Still
meetings
the
and all.
best villain, and probably I think the only actor actress in the whole superhero band who win an Oscar.
Yeah, first Oscar win. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
for a
an
superhero
acting.
movie.
Yeah, for an acting role, no
And
less.
when you talk about that, well, not movie specifically, but you think about Breaking Bad. Bryan Cranston.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
see him in Malcolm in the Middle.
yeah. Everyone was like the guy from Malcolm in the Middle,
Yeah.
and then he
You see
just
him as
knocked it out
Walter
of the
White.
park.
And just like,
Exactly, you know. So yeah, these guys just have an eye for certain things,
Yeah.
and I absolutely loved Robert Pattinson as Batman. I like the on a vision perspective that they went for a younger guy,
yeah.
because dude, I don't know if you know how many guys have played Batman. I
Okay,
literally don't
you've
even know the
got,
number. It's
Uh,
Michael Keaton,
yeah. Val
George Clooney,
Kilmer,
Val Kilmer. Wasn't there
uh,
another one in that?
Christian Bale.
Wasn't there another one from those older ones?
Oh, isn't that like the Big Bang Theory guy?
Oh, Adam West. Okay, yeah.
But, yeah.
Christian Bale,
And then,
Ben
Ben
Affleck,
and
Robert
now
Pattinson. So we're at about 7, and that is, I think, by far the largest number. Even though comic book movies they always get
Yeah.
remade and whatever, I don't think anyone comes
I
anywhere
mean,
near that.
Spider-Man's got 3.
Spider-Man is 3. That is like 4 actors away.
Superman has 3.
Superman,
Maybe
there
4.
might be a few more because they had like
Because
series and
maybe
whatnot.
like the 60s and whatnot.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
they've got the current series going on now.
Yes, 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 yes. So he's close. Yeah, but I think Batman is like up there as far as the number of different actors that have portrayed
and the
him.
ones you say who are top 3 would probably be Keaton. Obviously, I
Keaton.
haven't seen that movie in
Yeah,
a
yeah,
very,
yeah.
very long time, so I don't know the plot and whatnot.
Keaton, Bale,
Bale
and Robert Pattinson. It's just
and 2 of those 3 that I know of,
Yeah.
I don't know the third one, are based in reality.
yes, the realism grounded version of
And
Batman.
obviously, when something's based in reality, it makes it more relatable to a person. And
Yeah,
if
yeah,
something's
yeah,
more
yeah.
relatable, you're gonna
It's
enjoy
easy
it
to
more.
grasp
Yeah.
onto it. And so my point is, when something has been done and redone that many times, you really need to know what
Yeah.
you're doing as far as differentiating it from everything else, even within the limited scopes of the comic book movie universe. And so going younger was a huge
Yeah.
stride in that direction. And remember I said Batman, Ben Affleck as Batman reminded me of the Batman I watched in the
Yes.
cartoons. Same thing with Robert Pattinson, especially that scene when he took off the cowl and he had like the
The
mascara
thing,
on the
yeah.
eyes and then just the hair hanging. He reminded me of it definitely wasn't Bruce Wayne. I just forgot his name. The kid who was Batman from the future in the
Oh,
cartoon.
okay, yeah. I
He
know
was
what
also
you're talking about,
he
yeah.
was also a younger Batman. He was actually mentored by the original Bruce Wayne and that
Yes,
sort
I
of
know which one
thing.
you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, so when I saw him, I was reminded of that guy. I was like, man, that's pretty dope when you can have that little tie in. But again, just the younger Batman, the whole thing of starting out, and yes, Christian Bale was also starting out Batman. I can't really remember Michael Keaton's backstory, but they were older guys.
Yeah.
So with him,
Older guys, they looked older.
they felt seasoned,
Yeah.
even at the beginning.
Yes.
But him actually starting out, and dude, that scene where he was flying and then he crashed just adds to the whole thing of he's just starting out. Throughout the journey, like you said,
Or like he, at the end of the movie where he didn't pick up the part with the carpet.
yeah.
And then the guy obviously expect him. He's the world's greatest detective, but
But
not yet.
he's working up to that
Yeah.
point exactly. So I think man, he absolutely killed it. Everyone else, I mean,
Yeah.
on the casting end, special shout out to Penguin.
The makeup
Colin
and
Farrell.
effects, bro. Makeup and effects were crazy for that.
He looked like a real human being.
Different person completely.
Completely. And you were saying you were trying to look for expressions and all that. For me,
I think I saw a glance back where I saw his eyebrows and eyes going, and
Yeah,
then I
yeah,
thought maybe, yeah, but other
for
than
me,
that,
it
no.
was the voice inflections.
Okay.
So there were certain points where he's screaming and shouting like Colin Farrell, like because given how different he was, he tried to look for Colin Farrell within that role, and I picked him. I was like, it put me at ease because I thought I was going crazy for a moment, given how different the two are. But special shout out to him on that. So
Riddler, Paul Dano. Oof.
he might be.
So good.
It's sometimes hard, man, to rank casting because you need to give your character what is necessary.
Yeah.
So just because someone gave more doesn't necessarily mean they were better than someone
Yeah.
else. But I will say, character portrayal, he might be the best out of everyone in that movie.
Yeah. I think just the whole being a forensic accountant, and then picking up on this out of nothing, and then just snapping.
Dude.
Like it could happen to anybody. Just snap.
And again, right? I think maybe something else we need to go back to a little bit. You spoke about the theme of Gotham in this
Yes.
movie, like the way it felt so real and so grounded,
Yeah.
right? And that's other thing, like I was saying about Snyder. Everything about him must be so grandiose and
Yes.
massive, and But this felt Gotham is a city of broken people,
Exactly.
corruption top to bottom, and Gotham almost felt like another character in this
It was.
world.
It was. It had to be.
You connected with it as you're
Yeah.
seeing it, just the tone that they used. Never mind the realism aspects. They used like it's almost like an older filter or older camera, but
Yeah.
it felt old school. And the thing is, when you think mafia, you don't really think modern.
Yeah.
It has to be old school. And Gotham, at least, with Batman's origin story,
Yeah. I mean,
the
he
mafia
he
was what had it.
Like even with Batman, he had tech, but it wasn't like crazy next level tech.
That's
Yeah.
what I loved about
Like-
this, man, because we're also in
Oh.
a world where, given CGI and
You
people's
can do
imagination,
anything, yeah.
anything can be solved with a click of a button. But this guy, he put in the hard work,
Yeah.
like, got his hands dirty,
Built
and
his own vehicle. Like the second time I watched it, they teased the vehicle build. The
oh
engine
yeah, the
block,
parts there.
parts,
Oh
the
yes, yes. I
exhaust
saw
and
the
whatnot.
parts. I just didn't make
And
that
then
direct
it-
connection.
Then it
But
clicked with him actually building because it was covered, and then
yes,
eventually
yes,
the
yes.
review.
So again, getting his hands
Yeah.
dirty. That
And I
is
think
just
also
something.
which was quite cool is when he's riding his bike.
Yes.
He's not riding in his bat suit.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
He's incognito.
Blending in.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes,
Incognito,
yes.
and everything makes sense. Like batarangs weren't overdone.
Yeah.
It was just the onesie where it cut the tape, and you're like,
Dude.
no, okay, less is more.
Yes,
And
yes.
the cape made sense because he transformed it into a squirrel suit, which I thought was
Exactly.
a stroke of brilliance.
Dude,
Because like
yes.
capes don't make any sense.
No, not in this modern
Okay,
world,
now it
especially.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. It was a utility tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we know Batman and tools
Yes.
hand in hand. So just yeah, man, that
Everything made sense and grounded.
Yeah.
It made sense.
everything was very, very well thought of. So again, I like that old school look and feel. And I don't know if it's a generational thing or whatnot. We were raised on old school movies.
Yeah.
So anytime we see something old school, it just creates an instant connection of some sorts. So they created the perfect balance. Like it's old school, but it still has that futuristic tech that, Batman
Yeah.
is known for. And so I really, really enjoyed that aspect. Like you said, man, just seeing his growth and development, like he's just starting
Yeah.
out, and you know it. A lot of times, they'll have a hero, even if it's not in the comic book world.
Yeah.
He's only 1 year in, but this guy's a master at what
Yeah,
he
he's
does. Like
Winning at life.
everything is just coming together for him. But yeah, you could tell that build, the struggle, the whole thing about discovering what his dad had
Actually,
done.
Yeah, like his dad was his hero, and then
All of a
to
sudden,
realize his dad
no.
is actually just a human being.
And going back to the Riddler, I think maybe, man, this is so exciting. I can feel that we're all over the place, but I'm just like,
Yeah.
just bear with us. Like we're getting somewhere with this. Just to focus on the Riddler for a bit again. How phenomenal was he as a villain?
I was gonna say that, like we were chatting.
Yeah, yeah.
For Shang-Chi, like they had a well-defined villain.
Yes.
This was well-defined.
Yes.
Like most clear-cut defined villain.
Yes.
He is the villain. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But he's a villain with a cause.
Dude. And like I said, for me, it's always about the motivation and the execution. And I like that it was a dark and gritty
Yes.
Batman,
I
or
think that's
Gotham,
I
rather.
think what did it well as well. They didn't water it down.
No. And
And I think that's where DCEU. I don't
Yes.
think this is part of that canon,
no.
but where they fell flat. They were going down that gritty path,
Yeah.
but then they saw Marvel making money. I want to make money.
Yeah,
Water it down.
yeah. Their stuff was a mess, but we'll touch on that specifically.
But now when they went into the grit, as you say, that grittiness, and they didn't water it down, it
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
added to the feel.
Yes.
Everything.
And like I was saying earlier about how this is the perfect post-Nolan Batman movie, it's that they took the elements of realism, cool. But if you think about it, Nolan also isn't a fan of the guts and gore and the
Yeah.
bloody scenes and whatnot. So with them, it was like another element that they could differentiate themselves with.
And they didn't do it. They didn't go like Tarantino-esque levels, but
No,
you
no, no,
know,
no. It wasn't
but
violent for the sake of
it's enough.
violence.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah,
like a
but
John
it
Wick
was
where there's just
realistic.
blood spattering everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It wasn't
I
like
get you.
let's
It was
make a splash of this.
it,
But it
it
was just,
it added a dimension.
and never mind the Nolan movies. We've actually never seen this ever in all the others,
Yeah,
including the Snyder movies. Like it would be violent, but
Yeah.
the gore side would always be tempered. Whereas with this one, I mean, the first kill we saw, the guy was killed with that. What did he say? The thing he was
Oh,
that carpentry tool.
yeah,
You
the
know,
carpet tucker.
he messed them up with that and then cut his thumb off. Granted, it didn't show it, but just saying that his
Yeah.
thumb was cut off while he was alive, the imagery of it as well, added to
And-
just that dark and sinister feel of the
And
movie.
obviously they didn't show pictures, but just getting that imagine of that second kill with the rat eating your face.
Yeah, look, we got a glimpse on that video
Yeah.
when the rats were,
Yeah.
starting to chow by his stomach and all. And that's the thing about Gotham. It's a city of maniacs, broken people,
Yeah.
but it's a very broken city. And we saw all those elements, from the corrupt politicians to the people on the ground saying,
Yeah.
we are
In that-
fed up.
In that opening scene where with the guys in the face paint, just going after that guy with the glasses.
Yeah,
over
yeah,
chin.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you picked it up, but on the second watching, if you see the face paint, it looks like a Joker. The Joker.
Is it?
Yeah, it's got the guy's white face,
Yeah.
black smile.
Oh, okay. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, so
okay.
I mean, and we know, I think Joker exists.
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
that
That's
universe.
definitely him.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
safe to say they were followers of his ideology.
Okay.
Well, that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
One hack theory from one guy with,
Nah, the
a
main
brain.
standout for me from that scene was just how the guy had only half. So it's like
Yeah,
your
he's
initiation
not
isn't
even,
complete.
yeah.
So again, adding to that whole thing of the broken people just making your way through it and, usually through violence and whatnot. But going back to our main villain, he was violent with a
Of
cause.
course, yeah.
He was like,
had a-
guys,
he had a gripe.
and it made sense. It wasn't on some, I'm just tired of these guys. He's like, no, these guys' corruption messed up my entire life.
Yeah.
As a kid, that's why he was in that messy orphanage
Yeah,
where he said
and
people
when he
would
started
die.
describing
And
the orphanage, you're like, ooh,
he's like,
Could
Bruce
you-
Wayne. He's like, no, that's not an orphan.
that homie.
Let me
lived
tell
in
you
a
what an
tower."
orphan is, and what an orphanage is. And when he was describing it, he's like, man, this is what you grew up on. And the way he made his, I guess, killings tell a story on their own.
Yeah, like
At each level, more is being revealed, more is being revealed. And we get to the part where they were actually at the orphanage itself, and it's now like a crack house and all. And you're just like, man, this city has really gone to the dogs. And of course, people are gonna push back, and not in the most pleasant way either. And not to mention that, credit to these guys for choosing a lesser popular villain,
Yes.
firstly. Because the only
it's so
other
easy
iteration
to
we
go
have
into Joker.
is Jim Carrey.
Yes.
But
That
no
was
one,
more of a comedy.
exactly, no one was watching this Riddler on some, oh, Jim Carrey did this. No, 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 no. There's none of that. And that's why I'm glad they didn't go with, okay, granted they teased Joker at the end.
Yeah.
I hated that they went with him that early.
But I
Even
mean,
though he's
it's-
for the
it's-
second
it's a
movie, I
tease,
know.
though. I mean, yeah. I
But-
mean, they don't necessarily have to have him in the second movie. But I don't know if they've already started writing and what.
I hope they won't.
Yeah.
There can be someone that they go back to later on, because my thing was, he's very essential to the Batman story. Cool. But at least let's have him in the third movie, if anything, because we just had a Joker. Whether you think it was Jared Leto, even if you think back to Heath Ledger, yes, 2008 was quite a while ago, but he was
And
so
we- I mean,
impactful.
we even had Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh yeah. See, so there's like a whole other Joker now, But
And, I mean, two of them won Oscars.
Heath Ledger in particular was so iconic that as far back as it was, he's always the first
Yeah,
to come to
he's-
mind
he's-
nowadays.
he's the
He's
measuring
become the
stick.
quintessential. Yeah,
He's the measuring stick.
exactly. So my thing was give the lesser known guys, some shine, especially if you can
Yeah.
execute it as well as you did with Riddler. Because again, yes, Jim Carrey did it. It was big in the 90s, whatever. But no one really mentions or thinks of Riddler when you're talking Batman villains.
Like, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Poison Ivy redone again.
It's
And giving
been
that strong female lead
it's been long enough.
as a villain. Ooh.
It's also been long enough,
But I would like to see how they do it in a real world
Yeah.
basis.
And I'm sure that biochemicals and whatnot.
Yeah.
There's ways to go about it. But yeah, what they did with this dude, I hope they are aware of the standard they set with their villains,
Yeah.
and that they carry it throughout their trilogy and just the entire universe that they want to set up. And anything in particular you want to say about maybe like some of the other supporting members? Jim Gordon,
Jim
how'd you
Gordon,
feel about
oh,
him?
I liked it. I like the relationship they had. I like that he wasn't commissioner yet,
Yes,
which
yes,
also
yes.
shows
Also, still at
the
the
beginning stages.
yeah, yeah,
I liked how it was. It's like, it's just he understands the value of Batman and
yeah, yeah,
Cape Crusade and whatnot, and I liked how they played off each other.
yeah, yeah,
They partners, but you know,
yeah.
not
In their
not
own
not not,
worlds
not in the
and
public eye.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Nah, man, Jim Gordon, he killed it. Jeffrey
Yeah.
Wright, like,
I mean,
um,
when I saw him in Westworld,
I was gonna say, I've seen him not in Westworld in particular, but I've seen him a couple of times, and he always plays an authoritative role.
yeah,
What I like is that what I picked up, I saw him in Source Code. I saw him in
oh yeah, Source Code, eh?
Boardwalk Empire. Those maybe the only two, maybe one other. Oh, A Broken City. And every time I saw him, he played a he was portraying different people, yes, but in a similar manner.
Yeah, like a typecast.
Yeah. I love that. Even though he was still playing an authoritative figure here, he did it completely differently. I was like, oh, thank goodness. And the main thing with him, that's his unique identifier throughout all his movies, is his voice performance. He takes on a very similar tone each time. And it works. But I like that he went in a different
This one
direction.
he was more emotive, I would say.
Yeah.
Just from what I know of Westworld,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a way more emotive.
The other one had almost a Shakespearean flair to his delivery, like that gravitas and whatnot. But with this, like,
It's like,
it fit the character much better,
Yeah, it's
and I
like-
like that it was a differentiating factor from what he's done before. So I was like, ah, man, Jeffrey, you absolutely killed it. And on that point of him being detective still, not commissioner yet, I like that not only do we have a younger Bruce Wayne, but everyone else is younger.
yes,
Because Christian Bale was relatively young, but everyone else was like older and
Yeah.
established in that universe. So with this is like everything coming up
yeah,
at the
like
same time,
Alfred as well with Andy Serkis. A little bit
Alfred
younger.
was fairly young. The Riddler was a young
Young.
dude,
Oh, yeah.
Everyone in there was like, yeah, fairly young. And it also helped to give Gotham a youthful feel as far
Yes.
as
I mean,
it's
even
a
the
new
mayor,
city.
The mayor as well.
Yeah,
she
yeah,
was
yeah.
very young, I would say.
Yes,
In terms of the movie.
yes,
She looked
yes,
very
yes.
youthful.
So it being a new thing, it felt very refreshing as well. I mean, we've said Colin Farrell. Never mind the makeup and all of that, but just the character portrayal, man. Like, he gave me mobster,
Yeah.
and you don't get that much these
But
days.
I mean, you saw that mobster in The Gentleman when he was the coach. Like,
Oh yeah. Although it was British mobster, but
Yeah,
he's
he
still
still got that,
yeah. So you could definitely see he has the chops for it, and man, he came through with that. And like I said, mobster always has that old school feel. He felt like an old school villain.
This felt like a mob movie.
Yes. And I like that it wasn't. It was old school mob style, but it wasn't like the 20s. The 20s is
Yeah.
always like the go-to with
It's
the
like,
mobsters.
It's like the, what is it? I haven't seen them, but I would liken it to the 70s Godfathers, Goodfellas times.
Yeah. Which was
like-
kind of like peak mobster movie
Yeah.
era also. So they were paying homage to that era. I like that
Casino,
quite a bit. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman.
I enjoyed her.
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. She killed it. Everything from the strut that she
Yeah.
had. Like
She had
every
the
time,
swagger. She had the swagger.
fam, every time she's just walking, I'm like, okay, I see the cat movements, and because a lot of them like to say, oh, I studied animals, and
Yeah.
but you could really see it in
Yeah.
her
Thing is,
character portrayal.
That's the thing with just pet cats and stuff. It's the swagger.
Yes.
Walk like you own it.
Yeah. And she definitely came through with that. The skills, the fighting, the acting. I was like, I don't know Zoe had it like that, Funny enough, she had said that she had tried for a role in the Dark Knight trilogy. I think it was the Bane one specifically. So Dark Knight Rises.
Catwoman as well.
I can't recall if it was Catwoman
I
or
think it might
what.
have been Catwoman. as
And then she didn't get it for whatever reason. But her now coming through, and that's the thing with like these Hollywood royalty babies, because she's Miss Lady Kravitz's daughter
well. Lenny
and
Kravitz,
all
yeah.
like
and what's his name? Jason Momoa's ex-wife.
yeah.
And she's also like up there, Lisa Bonet.
Lisa Bonet, yeah. With those kids, they get the
The golden treatment. Yeah.
yeah, man. It's not even a red carpet; it's like a golden pathway right into
Silver
the
spoon,
movies and
silver spoon,
whatnot.
yeah.
But I like that she had the chops to back all of that up. She came in there and
And
she
I mean,
absolutely
hasn't-
killed that role.
She's been acting, but she hasn't been like
I've
prominent.
barely
movies.
seen her in
Yeah.
anything. So when I saw it, and I was like,
And when I was like, you go on these random articles, see 10 movies like Zoe and I'm looking and I'm like, yo, she was in these movies?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like, yo, she was in X-Men, First Class.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's insane.
So like she's been in prominent movies but
Yeah,
hasn't
yeah,
had a
yeah.
prominent role.
Role, yeah. But clearly she's earned her
Yeah.
stripes proper. Like, yeah, she came through, killed it as Catwoman, like the
Yeah.
fighting and all of that.
Course.
I like that she actually played the role to the fullest, man. Like the cat burgling that she kept
Yeah.
doing and whatnot. Like, never mind actually
Yeah,
stealing, but
like
even like how
you
she went
actually
about it, man.
you made something click. Like she was a cat burglar. Cat woman.
Yes,
So
yes.
it makes sense to me now.
Yes, she embodied that to the fullest, you
It's
know.
not like I think Halle Berry's one where she was mauled by cats and then
Yeah, that was just a whole other thing.
did
I
her
mean,
dirty there, man.
Anne Hathaway was pretty great, but it was more focused on just Catwoman.
Yeah.
I feel like Zoe was more fleshed out in a
Yes,
sense.
she was a better character. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was Selena Kyle and
And Catwoman, definitely. And I was like, man, I really love that.
because I mean her with the daddy issues and
Yes, so
Look,
she
you
also had
know,
a proper history
yeah,
in that.
and she also had motivation to help, but not
Yes.
necessarily go along with the plan.
Yeah, and she was still her own person. Like, because
And
of
then,
her
like,
own
yeah.
gripes, he was more
Like,
violent
when
and
I picked it up on the rewatch, she stole the money
yeah,
and
she got away with
yeah,
it.
She
like,
got away with
yeah.
it. I'm like, yo, okay.
That's like she stuck to her
Yeah,
guns,
it's like,
but
I'm
also it's
looking
like
out for me.
her history is different. And she said one of the most profound lines. She was like, "Man, you must have been rich all your life if that's
Yeah.
what you think." And it's like, yeah, because you don't
Getting it
understand this,
to the T, you don't
dude. She's
know.
like, because you don't understand our struggle, you know, and her struggle informed her behaviors to
Yeah.
the very end, you know. And I like that they didn't do that cliched, oh, now she's reformed and whatnot. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
she understands a bit
I think
better,
yeah,
but she's still herself, you know.
I think the end scene with the two of them
Yeah,
together
yeah, yeah.
was perfect because it was just like, yeah, we like each other and whatnot, and as you say, they didn't fall into that reformed. Oh, I'm gonna stay for you. They
Nah.
were like, yeah.
I mean, she
it's
said,
cool.
hey, come through.
Yeah,
The
we'll
cat
see-
and the
we'll-
bat has a nice ring to it. And he was like, nah, I'm going to stay. Because, again, both of them were just sticking to their guns.
Gotham is
It's his love, man, you
Yeah.
know. I think as far as like,
it's his identity. Like,
yeah, he connects with the city, you know. I think, yeah, as far as, you know, the special supporting characters, that is pretty much it. Alfred, what's your take?
I mean, I love Andy Serkis. I mean, Gollum.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
MCU also. I haven't
Yes.
seen the Planet of the Apes, but he's the main
Caesar,
guy
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
He's good, man. He's good. I think they gave him enough because the focus wasn't on his relationship with, or Batman and Alfred's relationship.
But now, do you think that's a good or bad thing?
I think it's a good thing for this movie
Okay.
because it was the whole focus was on Bruce coming to terms with his dad,
Okay.
being actually a human and doing human things.
Yeah.
And not being this ideological Mother Teresa type figure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that played well. Where with Alfred being a mentor figure but not a father figure.
Okay.
But moving forward, I'm not sure.
I struggled a bit with that dynamic that they had.
Okay.
Firstly, they didn't give him much to do,
Yeah, not at all.
which is surprising given the capabilities of Andy Serkis. Like, you know, we've mentioned that as an actor, he's phenomenal. So yeah, he didn't get much to do. I was surprised by that. But their dynamic, I was a bit disappointed in. I mean, I barely remember the old school Batman movies. You know, I watched all of them. I mean, as a kid, that was, you know, the thing to do. But what I remember standing out is Batman was the butler. Like, that was pretty much that. I don't know if any of the Alfred,
Yeah.
Alfred was the butler to Batman. I don't know if any of them played a deeper role. I'll have to rewatch to say
Yeah.
for sure.
I
And
think the
then
closest would be Michael Caine in Dark Knight.
that's what I'm getting at. Michael Caine came and changed the game, like what
Yeah,
Christopher
but I
Nolan
mean,
did with the
Michael Caine
writing.
is a
Like,
legend.
but also the way the character was written was just incredible, you know. And depending on what exactly they did with the other Alfreds, that may have been the first time we saw the father-son dynamic with Alfred and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So that for me set a standard that I have been looking for since that movie. Which was the next one? It was the Ben Affleck,
Who is the
Batman.
butler there?
Jeremy Irons.
Oh, okay.
So their dynamic, right, was
It's
more of
like
a partner in
partners,
crime.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there was more partner in crime, but I wasn't mad at that because
Yeah.
I thought,
So I
okay,
guess-
Alfred is playing a role.
So I guess this one would be a mixture of the two,
I wouldn't even go that far, hey?
wouldn't you?
And that was my issue with Alfred. I was like, I don't understand the essence of him and Batman because, and Bruce Wayne rather. I'm not looking for another father figure. I'm just looking for another strong relationship
Yeah.
between Batman and Alfred because we know how pivotal that relationship is. And yes, you have your
Yeah.
own iterations, whatever, but I feel like that will have a solid foundation and then you manifest it however you wish. So I feel like we lack that in this one.
But I think they can always flesh it out later because I think what they've done was they didn't do too much
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in one movie. They did Catwoman,
Yeah.
they did
Because they were
Bruce.
juggling a lot of
Yeah,
people.
they
Yeah.
did Bruce and they did Gotham. Those
Yeah.
are I would say my main three.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then obviously you can always do the Alfred one when they bring in a new villain. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's fair, but also that's a speculation at this point.
yeah, that's a speculation.
And granted, I did
There's-
say that okay, maybe in the future we'll see a little something more. But it's like, even when Alfred got injured in the explosion, we were feeling the pain because of the
They
historic relationship
Yeah.
of Alfred
not
and Bruce
even.
Wayne.
It's just the way Bruce portrayed it. Like I
Okay,
felt-
the
yeah,
reactions,
the
yeah, yeah,
reaction,
yeah. But we weren't particularly attached to that from what the movie gave us.
yeah.
So it's like if they had established it in a certain way, man, we would have
But-
been like, ah,
yeah.
Alfred.
But for me, yeah, we didn't feel it. But
Yeah.
The way they told that story, where it's like unraveling the secret and then having the Alfred have the bomb package, you thought it was happening at the same time.
Yes, yes. No, that
That
storytelling
portrayal,
was
the
pretty dope.
storytelling was
Yeah,
good,
yeah,
yeah.
that was pretty dope. So yeah, that for me, the relationship was like, ah, man, I felt we could have gotten a little something there. And I guess with that said, that'd be my first shortfall that I felt from the
Okay.
movie. Maybe mention some of the others. Luckily, there were not too many, thankfully.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I don't know if you'll agree with me. The Batmobile was another one for me.
Short for me, I'm the opposite. I love
Dude, for me,
I
it felt
love
more like a pimped out car.
That's exactly what it's supposed
No,
to be.
dog. Anyone can have a pimped out car.
Yeah,
but
but-
Bruce Wayne, Batman's car was just, I can understand, like, his bike was
Yeah.
regular, okay, fine, this, that, whatever. But, like,
Incognito.
the car, like, I felt like
dude,
it needed to just,
I-
man.
Oh, I don't know. I liked it. Of course-
Technically,
of
it
course-
suits
of
the
course,
the
yeah,
world that they
it's
established,
exactly,
and
it's-
even all the other technologies and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's on par.
Yeah.
But ish, man.
But if you're looking, if you're comparing it to other Batmobiles, like Nolan's fucking tank was just so crazy.
But also look at what it did.
Yeah.
That one car chase scene, like he was messing, he was just messing
Nolan's
things up
tank,
with
and
that.
then I can't remember. Yeah, obviously you've got Snyder's thing.
Oh yeah, but
that-
yeah, that
that's-
was just
that's
something
more,
right
yeah.
out of the future, and
And then obviously you've got, but I like this one because it as you say, it fit the movie. It was gritty because
yeah,
it's American
it's a
muscle.
pimped out. I was gonna
it's
say pimped out American muscle car. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Obviously handling on that thing is horrible, but
So
and just the intro of it is just like it's there, and then they just brought it in and then straight into that chase.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yo,
and
like-
with Penguin thinking he's got him.
Yeah,
I will say, right? Yeah, so like I said, Batmobile, like, yeah, man, I felt like, nah, man, you could have taken it up a notch. I'll actually say the chase scene as well. It's technically on the lower end, might
Yeah.
even be the very last item on like the shortfall list. And here's
Okay.
why. I don't think we got much from it. And also it being at night with that lighting, I felt took away from it. Because
Okay.
with the chase scene, everything is important, man. Like that quick handbrake turn that you make, the quick swerve, this, that. There were certain parts I'm like squinting and trying to figure out who's dodging what exactly, how did this,
Oh, yeah.
When I watched it the first time, sorry, I had to figure out in my head how exactly that little crash happened. And then the second time I was like, okay, pay attention. And then I could see it better. So I feel like it was a little too dark. And I don't know if I've been spoiled too much by other car
Yeah.
chase scenes
I
and
mean, there's
stuff,
always a
but
good car chase somewhere along the
including
line.
in the Dark Knight trilogy,
Yeah.
like it wasn't over the top or crazy like when Joker had that the RPG, when they flipped the truck,
Yeah.
Things like that added to the element of that car chase scene. So I feel like we could have, had a little more in this. I feel like there was one. The other thing was, I would have liked to see, or at least even if it was a story that someone tells,
Ah,
how Jim Gordon and Batman became close.
okay, yeah, that's fair. I would like to see that.
Especially given that he was new.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 years isn't
Yeah.
that long.
And I mean, Jim vouched for him a lot. I mean, in that
Dude.
scene where he was surrounded by cops.
The interrogation, yeah,
so,
in the
so
interrogation
I have
room,
a
like,
peeve there because, like, why do you only pull off the hood there when you're all around him? Surely you could have just pulled it off when he's unconscious there where the bomb exploded.
and also to add on to that, they could have, when he takes it off himself, they could have shown how difficult it is. Because I feel like it shouldn't be that easy for anyone to just come
Yeah.
and, maybe if this thing was a little
But
tight
I do like the way the mask is. It's much better. It's a better aesthetic than
yeah,
the previous
it's like a
ones that I've
nice,
seen,
clean
yeah.
sort of one. Doesn't look all rubbery
Yeah,
and
it
weird.
doesn't look like it looks like usable, like you'd use
Utilitarian,
it,
yeah. And I like even when you took it off. I don't know if you saw. It was like a separate piece
Yeah.
to this. So that's why I'm like, when he took it off, they could have shown how this mechanism like locks it in until he
Yeah.
does whatever.
It shows functionality.
Yeah. So, because even with those cops, I don't want that. Oh, he woke up at the last second. No, they could have shown them trying but
Yeah.
failing to get it off. Something
Yeah,
like that.
So I think that's one of my views.
But yeah, I think then the last thing for me would just be that the history with the two of them, like even if it's that one crime scene or whatever
Yeah.
that he was at, and then Jim was like, actually, man, I'm gonna rock with this dude. Oh, maybe he saved his
Yes.
life,
Yes.
Yeah.
Or even just to not even show us, mention it. you
That's
know?
why I was like, even if someone had said it,
Yeah.
it would have been more than enough. Because I know they had a lot to show. I don't know if you have any other like pet peeve sort of moments.
Not particularly. Hey?
Okay, and then highlights. I'm sure there's a couple of
I
those.
think one pet peeve I would say, like straight from finding out how his father is with Carmine Falcone, he goes straight to Alfred.
Yeah.
And Alfred tells him an opposite story, and he buys that so quickly.
But it's Alfred, man.
Yeah, I guess so.
And
But-
also, with what the story is, and given the people in the story,
Yeah.
it made sense. Because even I felt like, of course, Falcone's gonna
yeah,
say
what he wants to.
he
what
asked me
wants-
to
yeah.
kill him, and then But when Alfred is like, he didn't know he was
Yeah.
gonna kill him. I'm like, I
But
can see
I would have
that.
liked to see a little bit more inner turmoil, because it's all about that inner
Oh,
turmoil.
okay. Like, man, you saying
Yeah.
this, he's saying, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think on the whole, I'll enjoy the movie.
It was
Yeah, it's
incredible,
good.
man. Like, yeah. Other highlighting points that you maybe,
Highlights,
yeah.
well, obviously he's not like an outgoing highlight, but just the incognito, like when he's riding the bike, he's not in his armor, and I mentioned it before.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's just small things.
And he's got it in the backpack,
Yeah.
and
Like-
yeah.
And then also at the end where the quintessential way he cuts off the ties of his past, falls into the water, and then becomes the beacon of hope with the light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Didn't make
so-
those sort of yeah.
So
yeah.
he's not vengeance, but he's hope now.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's
yes,
quite
yes,
nice.
yes,
Like,
yes. Oh,
you're
okay.
stealing one from Superman. and using
Yeah,
it for
yeah,
your own.
yeah. Symbol of hope and
Yeah.
all. Yeah, nah, that
But I
was.
like that, and I guess also with the mayor, because she always says Batman's a vigilante, and then you saw that reluctance,
Yes.
and then the kid went there first,
Oof.
and then she like took his hand.
Yes,
So
yes,
just,
yes.
just that whole
I like
in
that.
the garden there,
Yeah, yeah.
that was a highlight.
There's
Um,
a lot of these dope subtle moments
yeah.
that they had in there,
I
man.
think, I mean, Riddler. We haven't talked enough about him. I don't think.
It's impossible to really do.
Just
Yeah,
his
oh,
motivations, how he went about people, just the realness of it. Because when we found the website, like that shit happens in real life. Like
Yeah,
people
yeah,
go on the
yeah.
dark web, they find people
Yes.
of a similar mentality, and they plan these things.
Yeah, yeah,
And he did exactly that,
yeah.
and he pulled it
He
off.
rallied them
I
up,
mean,
and like I
he
said, with,
didn't lose. Riddler didn't lose.
man, I'm glad you said that because it was the one thing I wanted to make sure I mentioned that the greatest thing about this movie is that they gave the villain the W.
Yeah.
And I thank Thanos for that. I don't care what anyone says.
Infinity War Thanos.
Yeah, Infinity, of course.
We
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
clarify,
yeah. Infinity War Thanos. I thank him for it because as soon as I saw that, I was like, man, I wonder who else is going to have the balls to do this sort of thing. And they did it. Like, he killed all the guys,
Yeah.
and then he got caught, and you're thinking, because now it's
No,
following.
he got caught on his own terms.
But that's other thing, but now you're thinking, okay, it makes sense that he got caught because, yeah, he must get caught.
Yeah.
It's the typical story arch that we're used to. He gets caught, but that's nowhere near the end of the movie. It's part of his plan.
When you say it's nowhere near the end of the movie, I liken it to, I don't know if you've seen it, or you might, you definitely have, Casino Royale. James Bond.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
Daniel Craig's first
That
one.
first one, yeah, yeah.
It's a long movie. I think it's like close to 3 hours.
Mm.
And then you've got the first bit where he wins the poker tournament, and then I don't know. I hope my memory's serving me correctly. And then
Yeah.
there's like still like 30, 45 minutes
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
after that. And that reminded Batman reminded me of that. Where
Yeah.
it's like, the story is ended, but it's not over.
And there's still a lot that's gonna be,
Yeah.
unfolded after here. So yeah, he gets caught and whatnot, only to find that the pièce de resistance hasn't even happened
Yeah.
yet, and how massive it was compared to everything else.
Yeah.
Because everything else is like, I'm killing this corrupt official, I'm gonna expose the lies, whatever, whatever. And it's a great cause, don't get it twisted. That's why it was easy to buy him being arrested, even though we knew it was voluntary. Because
Yeah.
sometimes when it's voluntary, you suspect, like, "Aye, man, what's going on here?" But with that, it's like, yeah, it seems like he's,
There's
fulfilled his
there's
purpose.
no like chance of escape.
And then it's like, nah, man, there's a whole other thing coming. And the explosions actually went off.
And then you just see the water coming in, and the voiceover of the narrative while the water's coming in,
Dude,
and then
speaking of the highlights, that shot when he was in prison by the window and the bombs going off, and he's like, woo! Oh, man. That was insane, dog.
like when he just goes crazy, like no, 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 no. Yo,
Dude. And also the fact that he thought he was on the same team with Batman.
whoa.
And I remember the first time,
And the first when he starts describing it, you're like,
Bruce, wait. And first you're like, he's
Oh,
exposing him. And, even he was like shook. He literally didn't
Yeah.
move until he figured out that, nah, he doesn't know. But him thinking they're the same. So at first, you must, because with Gotham, it's easy to attribute anything to, he's crazy. Because, there's a lot of weirdos and psychos over there. But when he speaks, you realize that it makes perfect sense. Think about the whole vengeance thing. It's how he interpreted Batman's enactment of vengeance. That you met at this city, you're going around punching people, this, that, whatever,
You're
whatever.
gonna take out the big players.
I want to do the same thing. Let me just help you to, get to the top.
Let's be symbiotic,
Exactly,
He said it
because we
himself,
believe
like,
in the same
I'm the
thing.
brains, you're the muscle.
He's like, because I remember there was, when I was watching it the second time now, I was like, why? He said, get him into the light. Why didn't he do that himself? And then when he said, I don't have the physicality, this is my power, I was like, this is genius, dude. Like, inadvertently making him an accomplice. Essentially. And like I was saying in the beginning, like, what's this? Is this guy involved? Is he an accomplice? And they're like, no, he's not an accomplice. But
Yes.
he was, as unintentional as it was. I was like, man, it doesn't get more brilliant than that as far as motivation is concerned, man. Like, the Riddler, and again, right, never mind his story and whatnot, but just the performance of the actor. I was super impressed. Dude, if you watch Day and Night and you watch this movie, it's literally day and night, like the contrast between the two. I was like, this kid smoked this, man. Oh man, nah, he was hella incredible, like beyond what words can describe. And believe me, I would like to attempt that, but it's damn near impossible,
Like,
man. So
you have to see it to appreciate it.
yes. It's something that definitely has to be witnessed, and you can understand that in the context of everything else. We don't see this often. Like, how many times has it been said that, the MCU in particular, but I feel like the conversation spreads out to almost all other comic book movies, that as far as the villains, you don't really get meaty roles, because everything must be about the hero. So, yeah, man, the fact that the villain got a W, the bombs went off. Like, I'm like, I can understand the killing of those guys, they're corrupt, whatnot, but, and here's the brilliance about letting the bombs go off. It's the first movie, dog. For instance, think about Dark Knight Rises. Bane blew up the stadium, he got the prisoners out and whatnot, but there was the third movie. It like takes a while for the big disappointment, if you will, to occur. But they were like, nah, in the first movie from the get-go, he's gonna kill everyone, and he's gonna...
That's the beauty of this. If this movie flopped, you could do it as a one and done.
Yes.
But they've left enough so you can carry on the narrative.
And that's the beauty of a movie, even a franchise movie.
Yeah.
As a standalone, it must do its thing,
So,
but it can leave room to keep going.
John Wick.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
one and
yeah,
done.
yeah.
But they managed to
Yeah,
hold on to that.
yeah. So even with this, like, man, I thought it was, yeah, hella brilliant. I don't know any other highlights maybe that like stood out for you.
Sure. Um,
I think that NZT drug that he took was pretty dope. Like,
oh, like I just thought it was like pure adrenaline.
yeah, most probably that is, yeah, what it was. But I was like, man, just again that thinking, as far as, man, in any situation, let me just. It's
Yeah,
like this guy. He
it's
was
showing
like,
he's versatile.
yeah, man. I was like, yeah, he's about to croak or whatever. He was like, nah, and just how he went berserk as well. Like, I think that moment was also key as far as with the weight of all that's been happening on
Yeah,
your shoulders,
and she was like rest, like, and he thought it was over. So he's like, yeah, cool. And
dude.
then
Out of nowhere, they just
like,
kept coming. They just kept coming.
and
They
he's
just kept
like,
coming.
okay, let's go.
Ah, man, I think, yeah, that scene where he just lost his mind and had to be pulled off,
Yeah,
like, that was pretty incredible. And then just seeing the guy's messed up face and all, and then
and then it's like, who
snapping
are
into
you?
reality,
I'm
and
vengeance.
dude, and the full circle of his impact coming into
Yeah,
effect. Oof.
as you said earlier, like Riddler thought
He
they were
thought we are kin
accomplices,
spirits.
so
Yeah,
the other
man.
guys would also think the same thing.
Exactly. And he said from the beginning that, yo, this thing is not just, a signal for me. It's meant to
Yeah,
incite fear. Only to find that it's not exactly what it's doing across the board. Others are like, man, there's our
yeah,
guy. I was like, that was beautiful. And it adds to just how broken this city is,
yeah.
the city of Gotham. And I don't know if we've gotten a broken Gotham to this extent before. It's usually about it's like the
I don't-
villains are
I think
broken and
that
they
I
live,
think
the villains are corrupt and living
closest
in
you would
Gotham.
probably get is the TV series
Which one?
Gotham.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
oh, oh, oh,
the
yeah.
TV series.
Yeah, yeah,
I would think. But in terms of Nolan's one,
yeah.
nah.
It was, and pretty much everyone
Yeah,
else. They
it
had
was
corrupt
just
people
yeah,
in the city. They corrupted, or they were
yeah.
on their way to corrupting the city. But
Not the
this
city is
show, the
already
city
corrupt,
is
broken.
corrupt and rotten, and it's also probably why they felt it was necessary to flood it, washing away
Flushing,
that,
yeah,
yeah, and
flushing
making it
everything out.
easy to, okay, build from the bottom up, and then we're gonna see where we're gonna go from here.
Yeah, so many levels, man.
Man, I was just gobsmacked by this movie. Like each and every
And
single time, I'm like, what in the
and I know
world
I
is going
mentioned
on,
this
man?
earlier to you.
Yeah,
You watch it the first time, it's long,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
But it's worth
you
it.
watch it the second time, it flies by.
Because it's worth it. They
Yeah,
made sure that every minute of this thing is well spent. We're not gonna, excuse me, waste your time with
yeah.
silly fillers or scenes that aren't necessary.
Yes.
Even dialogue, like everything served a purpose in this
I,
thing,
yeah.
man.
I guess also highlight was that also that Bruce Wayne is a recluse.
Yeah.
He's not like he's on his own mission. He's not living two lives.
Because that's something I was wondering about with Robert Pattinson. I was like, man, is he also gonna be able to pull up that whole like Bruce Wayne, the playboy? He's
Yeah.
always out there,
So I like
the
that he
lavish
was like
life and whatnot.
he's the okay. I'm the emo Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
am
yeah.
focusing
And
on my
he
mission.
fits, like his look fits that, the design of
Yeah.
everything, fits that, the
And I
makeup
think
fit that.
and I think they would. I don't know how you feel about this, but obviously in all these superhero movies they do a shirtless scene, right? And in MCU it's always the guys are like super jacked and super cut. I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that Pattinson was just like how he'd be a normal guy
yeah.
if he gymmed,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he's
yeah,
not
yeah.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
cut
yeah,
to
yeah.
the shreds. Like, come on, those are like
He wasn't like some roided out
yeah,
dude. Like, yeah, you could see that, no, this is just a regular guy who then
yeah,
got to work, and then that's
yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah. And that small build also, it adds that aesthetic, like I said, that younger Batman from
yes,
the future. Like, everything about it, I was like, man, he fits this. Yeah,
mm,
yeah. I was like, man, this is pretty dope. And I'm trying to think. I mean, we mentioned it, but it's also like a highlight I wanna give specific attention to when he fell while he was flying. It adds that
oh yeah,
element
when
of
you that
he's
crash
just starting
landing,
out.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's just starting out.
yeah,
And I don't know if you remember when he escaped from um, the police station
yeah,
and he got to the top. He hesitated at the
yeah,
edge.
yeah. He's like
I was like,
small
yes,
things like
good,
that, you know?
good. And when at the end, because his story, he's scared of bats, and
Yeah,
that's why he took that as a symbol. Again, I was like, it would have been nice to mention it somewhere.
but then they
But
showed
we
it.
we saw it when he had to grab the thing
Yeah,
at the end, the hesitation there as well. I'm like, man, even with the bulletproof glove and everything, This guy was scared to
Yeah.
go
I
in,
mean, the man took a bomb blast head on,
dude.
and he's afraid of a bat.
That's why I was like, yeah, the small things that they did in this movie, man, they
Yeah.
cannot be taken for granted. Uh, I'm trying to
I don't know.
see.
There was a small thing, you know, when they
Oh,
interrogated Penguin
yes,
and they left
the
him cuffed.
cuffs,
Did you
the
see him
penguin
walking like
walk.
a penguin? I
I,
was like,
I
oh,
wanted to mention that. I was
yo.
like, ah, man. So the first time,
Yeah,
I just thought it
didn't.
was funny for
Yeah,
the sake
I
of being
didn't.
funny.
Yeah.
And
Then I
then
saw it.
someone in the cinema said, like a penguin. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
then I started laughing even more. So the second time I was waiting for it. And then I.
Yeah, just small things like that. Like, you pay a little bit of attention, you get some good nuggets of.
What is the other thing? The naming, man. I feel like even with Penguin, I would have liked to maybe understand why they call him Penguin. What is the other thing? Because
Yeah, fair enough. In this one, you wouldn't really know. He doesn't walk
nah,
like
no,
a
no, no, no,
penguin.
no, no.
He's just like a gangster.
And that's the thing with the old movies. That's what they always got right. The old superhero movies.
Yeah.
The naming was always there. The classic version would be the newspaper names him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he names himself, or it's named for a very specific thing. And so I'm like, yes, we know these characters, but just bring that in some other sense. Especially with peculiar names, like just calling a dude Penguin.
Yeah.
With Danny DeVito,
He looked like a penguin.
he walked like a penguin. Even Gotham, the guy had a penguin
Yeah.
walk, and so little things like that. I'm like, we shouldn't
and
take
he
for
wore
granted.
the penguin tailcoat.
Yes, yes. Um, and then I'm trying to think, was there? I feel like there's without a doubt, a couple of other highlights that we're probably leaving out. But the point is, this movie is just filled with them, like
Yeah.
from top to bottom. Uh, like I said, my favorite thing about Ben Affleck was that he really went there as far as the fighting and all. There were two scenes or elements that I saw as like a homage to Christopher Nolan. Unfortunately, I forgot the first, but the second that I saw was the scene when Batman went into the club to go confront Falcone. They were shooting their guns, and it made the sparks lit up the room, which was
Oh,
dark.
that one, yes.
He had that as well.
Okay.
Christopher Nolan had that. I can't remember the other, man. Like, I don't know why it's escaping me. But yeah, there were like two main things that I saw, and I'm like, man, I appreciate the homage. And of course, he's like the modern OG, as far as Batman is concerned. And this is why you shouldn't be crying about, oh, let Christopher Nolan come back. And then it's like, no, man. If you just give it to
He
the
made
proper
his
guy,
masterpiece, and you admire the masterpiece.
and I'm glad he was able to resist, because I'm pretty sure they kept asking. So as far as now the DC universe, DCEU is
This
concerned,
isn't part of it, eh?
it's not. It doesn't look like that anyway.
I
I
hope
don't
it
know what
isn't.
your general comments on it are. My thing is, I mean, essentially DCEU was the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
They have obviously dismantled that.
Yeah, they're making standalone superhero movies.
Here's I don't even know if it's a hot take or what, but here's an interesting take on that whole thing. I feel like these guys must just continue making separate standalone
Yeah,
movies.
I agree with you there, and I think that's the plan going forward for them.
I would hope so. Don't
Yeah.
be concerned about Marvel interlocking and this that.
Yeah,
Because
or
remember,
like-
another thing that because it's easy to be like we want to chase the Marvel formula because it generates interest. Another thing that generates interest is separating yourself from the crowd. And this is like a dope way of doing that. Firstly, because all these different characters have their own tone. Marvel puts a monotone on everyone
Yeah.
to an extent.
Like-
Imagine now this gritty, dark Batman having to link up with like Shazam or something. Like,
exactly. Like I'm thinking, like imagine Punisher going and fighting with Thor.
it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
He's too dark. And Thor is now, become
He's
the
become
king
a
of
Guardians of the
comedy and he is.
Well, he is part of the Guardians.
So
now.
I'm like, nah, man, let's just keep it separate. Because I know what's coming up. It's like
There's
when you look at
Shazam, Aquaman 2,
Suicide Squad,
Shazam 2,
I like the second one.
the Suicide Squad.
So if you look at that and this Batman, like, in what world are they gonna? No, so let's not have that. Just make it
If
a
you're
DC
gonna
movie.
Do character references in the script or in the dialogue, but you don't need to show us.
No, man. Especially if you still have your little group movies like the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
It's like that is a group
Show
movie.
scripts like obviously they've done the series, but like I would love to see like a Teen Titans, or I'm trying to think of another Justice League type.
But whatever thing that
Yeah.
already is established, don't like
So-
force everyone to like
yeah, what I know is coming up is Aquaman 2,
the Black Adam.
yeah, Black Adam, Shazam 2,
Yeah.
Flash.
Yeah. That's been on hold. I don't know what the hold up is even, but yeah. We'll see. And I mean, it's a flashpoint thingy, so we'll see what corrective measures they're gonna try and implement into that one. But my thing is, leave everything separate so that you can still have the separate tones.
Yeah.
You know, we'll have the fun DC movie there. We'll have the gritty one here. We'll have something in the middle, but not try and force everyone to exist in each other's universes. Especially because each separate movie has enough characters within. Like,
Yeah.
there's more than enough Gotham villains to bring up in the
There's more
future.
enough variations and source materials.
Exact, dude.
So much
Yeah,
source
man.
material.
You
Like
don't need to.
every now and then they reboot the comic with a new
Yeah,
same
a new
characters,
origin story
different
and stuff
stories
like
and
that.
whatnot.
Yeah. So that's my hope for this going forward. But and the key thing, take your damn time.
Yes.
Don't rush the next one. And I hope that they keep Matt Reeves on. I don't know who was the screenwriter, because don't underestimate the effect that losing those people has on a product. It's the same thing with series and showrunners.
Oh,
You spoke about this. Once they change, the quality is just something else.
oh,
Because all you get is people trying to recreate
yeah.
instead of innovating.
Like what is the main culprits? Supernatural is the main was the main culprit of Come Straight Off Tan.
Yeah, you mentioned Dexter.
Dexter as well. Yeah.
House of Cards is another big one for me. Community also had that actually. It was caused quite a stir. So I'm like, yeah, man, just keep the guys on. And
Yeah, I'm
if
still waiting for that Community movie.
dude,
5 seasons and a
6
movie.
seasons and a movie.
6 seasons and a movie. Yeah.
If for whatever reason they do lose the guys behind the scenes,
I think with the success they have, they won't.
it's unlikely, but you never know. I mean, Deadpool lost their director, and then yeah. So I hope that they just take their time and planning everything out, not just this, but whatever comes afterwards, the other movies that are about to release and all of that. Allow people to live in their own separate worlds and flourish to the max, because I feel that adds to this authenticity. When you mix and match,
Yeah.
someone has to be tempered down or elevated up. I think that pretty much sums it up. Then I don't know, any final thoughts or
Go watch it.
yeah yeah
Go
yeah
watch
yeah
it.
yeah yeah,
If you
yeah.
haven't, go watch it. If you
Granted,
have,
it
go
shouldn't
watch it
be
again.
at this point if you haven't watched it,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely thinking I might even go for a third viewing at some point, and later on, when it releases and whatnot,
Yeah.
I'll online and I'll be watching it many more times as well. Like, this is gonna be. It has the makings of being the new age Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
Like, we still have that feel for the Christopher Nolan movies, where you can still watch them again and again and again. This has the potential to do the same as a franchise, but as a standalone movie, without a doubt. But yeah,
I think that's it.
there's nothing else. I think that's that then.
Yeah, folks.
All right.